Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl V. Today we're gonna be reacting to a video by Jubilee. And if you guys don't know what that channel is, it's that channel where they put up different debates for people to debate on different things. I really like the concept of the channel. So today we're gonna be reacting to a very interesting topic. This one has Candace Owens, who I know a lot of you people know, or not, I don't know, depending on where you get your information from. But this particular topic, we're not going to be reacting to the entire video, but we're going to be reacting to the motion that feminism has made things easier for men. So we'll be listening to the debate and seeing, giving our opinion on that. About Candace Owens, I wouldn't say that I like a super fan or not. I don't know too much about her, but I have seen or heard some of her takes when it comes to like certain topics and things like that, which I have agreed on most of the things that she talks about. The things that she talks about that are like politically leaning, like about American politics and those, I don't know enough about that for me to know whether I agree or not. So I'm not talking about the American politics of it all. I'm talking about her takes when it comes to other things that she talks about. I tend to agree with a lot of the things she said. I think she's very eloquent, very articulate, very intelligent, and I like those types of people. So, and she's able to get her point across very, very, in a very sober manner. She really makes you see the point. And that's the whole point of somebody, if you're gonna have a voice and you're trying to prove to people that you're right about something, then you should at least be able to articulate your point, and and get emotions out of it and all that. So that's what I like about her. But guys, if you're new to here, please subscribe, comment on the video if there are any other interesting things you'd like for me to react to. Also, subscribe, like the video, share, all that good stuff. Guys, let's get into it.
If you think they're also suffering from it, does that not contradict your point?
Hi, my name is Candace Owens. I am a podcaster, a mother, a wife, and also the author of the upcoming book, Make Him a Sandwich. And today I am being surrounded by 20 feminists. My final claim is that feminism has made things easier for men.
Oh my god, just when we're about to get into it. But let's see what they I believe, yeah, so Candace is saying feminism made things easier for men. So I'm guessing they're supposed to like rebuttal on that. Yeah, let's see.
You had an advantage there.
No, so close to the chair. Hi.
Hi,
I'm Jenny.
Candace.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I just want to clarify, in what way do you say?
Right. So I think now men don't have to commit and they're being offered sex from women for free. So they have to actually effectively do less and be motivated less, because feminism has kind of insisted on this culture of sex and hooking up. And I think that has been a net negative for women.
Okay. I guess on good faith, I just want to say, I think you're approaching this with like the best interest for women. Like, you think that is negative for women and harmful. And I think in some aspects we can agree to that.
Yeah.
I do think that there are some aspects of sex work or OnlyFans or whatnot that maybe men are definitely the huge consumers of. But if we are so concerned with women putting that out for free, it's charged, right? They're making money off of it. Then why are we not putting the onus more on men for being the one that is in control of that demand, right? So we can take away the supply or, condemn it all we want. But if there's no onus on men to be the consumers of said products, then wouldn't you think that would solve the issue that you're bringing up?
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. And I really get to that. I want to be very clear.
I agree. On this particular on this particular point, I do agree with Candice. I don't know where feminism originated from. So I don't want to be ignorant and pretend like I have the history lesson about feminism. No, But I think at some point it turned from being actually supporting women and helping women. And I feel like when we got to a point where women fought hard, which is true. There's a lot of women across history that have fought hard for what we are able to experience and achieve and do as women in society, in this day and age, and things that matter, like voting, like being able to own bank accounts, being able to make your own money, all these other things. Even just what I'm doing right now, absolutely agree with, that bit of it. But I think it turned toxic when it became this thing of, now we are encouraging women to go about this whole feminism thing in a way where it's actually negatively impacting them. I do 1000% agree that the modern day feminism, which is what I'll call it, has made women believe that, being overly promiscuous, being over sexualizing yourself, doing all these things, like literally things like OnlyFans and all these other things. These are platforms that are owned by men. So in real sense, you're just exploiting yourself. Yes, you're making money off of it, but in real sense, the control of the entire thing is still men. Like, they're still the ones who own the platforms. They're still the ones who own how money is made in this whole system. So at the end of the day, what you think is freedom is actually not freedom. If anything, like she said, it has made it easier for men, in terms of men don't have to commit. It's the same women that complain about, men nowadays, or men don't have to commit, but you have provided them with everything. What do they need to commit to? Like, when they go to social media, you've paraded yourself there in all manner of ways. You know, you have made it a sort of sign of freedom to be overly promiscuous. Somehow that's a sign of freedom. And yes, men do actively participate in that, and they are very much accountable for their part of it, and for them impacting how that ultimately affects women. But women are also not void of responsibility. When you choose to put yourself out there like that, and then you question why men don't want to commit anymore, what are they committing to? Like, you're too available, you're everywhere. They pay subscriptions to come and see. Like, what is motivating about them to commit to you? Like, what? It has made it easier for men, that they don't have to make any effort for things that they would get previously, where they would have to put in effort. Now they don't have to put in effort. If you're not going to give it to them, they can always just subscribe like Netflix and get it, and satisfy themselves. Even if they're not getting it from Netflix, or sorry, even if they're not getting it from these platforms that you're talking about, like OF and things like that, um they just have to scroll on social media, and they're gonna see or what they need to see. That's what I'm saying. Like, when at the point where feminism turned into this thing where we are encouraging women to degrade themselves, in the false sense of, like, this is freedom, that is where I disagree. And yes, it did make things easier for men in turn. It didn't it might have falsely made women believe that they have freedom, but in real sense, men are still exploiting that freedom. There's no actual freedom. Yes, a few women are making money here or there by putting themselves out there like that, but at what cost? So
Say that I'm anti-feminist. This does not mean that I do not also criticize men. I think that's something
Okay.
that people get very wrong.
Okay.
1000% agree. I believe the problem was seeded by the feminist movement. I think the sex revolution and telling women, I mean, literally, were protesting. They didn't have their shirts on, and this used to be just, your grandparents couldn't even imagine this, like women walking down the street and having their boobs out and their butts out on Instagram. And it created an environment where men then had to work harder for a woman's affection, for a woman to take her clothes off, sex education in the classroom. There's this huge myth that people were just doing it, like, oh, we might as well teach them because the children are just doing it. Actually, before they introduced sex education, the majority of high school graduates were graduating with their virginity intact, and then within 10 years of sex education, we saw a reversal. So I'm saying feminism actually seeded the problem, and now the problem is bad, and it's also bad for men. It's harmful for men to be constantly exposed to pornography and soft pornography, and I think it actually, in many ways, emasculates men. I don't think it's good for men to have addictions to pornography, and they are more biologically hardwired to want to look at that stuff.
Okay.
But I would say they are the main social benefactors of that culture because, well, first and foremost, as we're talking about women who have to kind of pick one or the other or try to manage both, and can we have it all? Like, no, you can't have it all. Like there, and that's what I was trying to say when I was being filibustered before, is that on a day where I really feel like I gave a little bit more to my career, I ache because I go, okay, but like now I feel like didn't give the same amount to my children, and it's a constant push and pull, and it never feels enough.
I understand like what you're saying, but I also like to a degree I think that feminism does benefit men. I think that it allows men to be more emotionally intelligent, allows them to understand what that looks like, and also be able to connect with other people, right? But at the same time, there's so much work that feminism has done for women that to say that it benefits men more, I don't think is an accurate statement. For example, Title IX has made it very possible for women to go to college 600% more so, right? And I think that that is a huge benefit that we can credit to the feminist movement, right? And allowing you to have a job, allowing us to have bank accounts, allowing us the right to vote. These are products of feminism. And to say that that benefits men more, I don't know if I necessarily can find that, like, can agree with that. Though I understand your point, though, trying to say that, like, sex work is harmful for women and more beneficial for men because they're benefiting from it the most. But at the same time, if you think they're also suffering from it, does that not contradict your point?
Yeah, so I disagree on the fact that, and we do agree that more women are going to college, more women than men are graduating with college degrees, and despite that, people are saying that we still live under a patriarchy. Women are free to start their own companies, women are free to pay women whatever they want to pay, women could hire, and in some cases do hire all women. And so I don't really understand, which wasn't your argument to be fair, the idea that even with all of that freedom, women are still not able to achieve what men are able to achieve. I think college education actually has increased women's stress. And I'm talking about in terms of how expensive it is. And I know you're going to then say, well, the solution to that is we have to then move the goalpost. And I'm guessing
Well,
here.
no, I mean,
but like, college should be free. Everything should be free. He thinks,
well, I think
we just need more free stuff, and obviously nothing's free. We're just going to tax us.
If I could interject,
100%.
I just want to say, I think the issue that we keep coming back to is that you believe that women would be happiest in the home where they don't have to work. And I think most people in general probably wouldn't like want to work anyways. But I think the main issue that we keep avoiding is that this is not an issue created by feminism. This is an issue created by capitalism.
Yeah, so I've heard this argument that it's an issue created by capitalism.
But you don't agree. You think feminism is the greater issue than the
I
system
think that now
needs us
the
to spend more
issues-
money to live?
Well, we have to spend more money to live.
Right.
I think in large part because feminists got duped by the government. And I think we just keep further enslaving ourselves to the government. I'm not a person who believes in big government. And yet we find that feminists and male feminists, as a person who just sat here did, are constantly like, well, we can deal with the college issue, we just need more government. We can deal with the, needing to have more benefits, we just need more government. So it's like, okay, let's just tax every household 100%. And I'm trying to prevent that. And I'm saying that there was a time in America, and what's aspirational for me is I was, raised in part by my grandparents. They were very happy. They were just, I lived in that environment of what that looked like. And I think for many of people who didn't grow up there, feminism has taught us, and I say this as someone who had to take feminism 101 courses when I was in college, that it was like this nightmare, and people weren't happy, and people were suffering, and women were
suffering.
People, were being forced, and that there weren't actually these things that just marriage that worked, that the women actually weren't disempowered by being the CEOs of their households.
Well, allowing women to have more choice and freedom and agency to leave.
Sorry, you've been voted out by the majority.
I did enjoy this conversation. Very respectful.
Immigration is an important part of the government of Canada's plan to keep our economy growing.
I mean, I do see her point by saying that, of course, it's capitalism's fault, where people in modern day have to spend more because everything costs a lot more, and therefore there is a need for women to work and da 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 and da da da. So I can't come here and be a hypocrite and be like, oh, women shouldn't work and we should be in the kitchen, da da da. That's not what I mean, because obviously I'm working. I work. Even doing this is some sort of working. I might not be making much money out of it or making any money out of it, but what's the point of me doing this, right? But I do understand as well what Candice is saying, and just because society is the way it is right now, which is obviously is an effect of things that have come before us. I don't think that back then when you know how society was structured was the most horrible thing. Like there's this thing of like, oh, it was the worst thing ever to to have had a point where feminism did not exist. Now, I don't think it's black or white. That's what I'm trying to say. I think it's a very nuanced conversation. And yes, like I said, I do agree that feminism did benefit women in the beginning when women were fighting for equal rights, when women were fighting to be able to, work, get a job, da, da, which women can do nowadays. Like you're free. I'm free to start my own YouTube channel and do my own thing. No, nothing. Nobody does anything to me. This channel is not run by any man or that. It's my own. You know, I work a job. I'm employed. I make my own money. Do you know, like nobody's running my money for me. I have my own bank account and all these other things. No, nothing is stopping me from succeeding and making money and doing all these other things. And that is where feminism should have ended. I think when feminism started becoming this thing of now, oh, let us lie to women that they're oppressed and you are not oppressed. No one is oppressing you. I have never felt oppressed in my life. I don't want to lie, just to please feminists out there. I don't feel oppressed. I've never been oppressed. I've never felt like the odds are stacked against me. I don't. I genuinely don't. Do you know, I feel like everything I've wanted to achieve in my life, I have achieved. I have worked hard and I've achieved it. That's the whole point of me going to school, going through education. What was the point of us fighting this hard if we are always going to be victims? Do you know? It actually takes away from actual real victims who go through actual real things, like actual real problems. When we start saying, oh, when we start creating these other problems that don't exist, that, oh, women are oppressed because people are calling out women going on social media naked, or starting, or creating all this sexualizing content that obviously you're creating it because there's demand. You're not creating it for yourself. You're creating it because somebody's going to consume it, and the majority of the people consuming this content is the men. That's why I said the men also are responsible, because they have gotten themselves addicted to this, and they have this, and that has affected everything. It has affected the dating scene, it has affected marriages, it has affected how women and men relate. If you go to social media nowadays, it's always videos of how much men hate women, it's always videos of how much women hate men. Where do you think all these things stemmed from? It was this thing of where we don't know when to stop. We don't know where the scale is balanced. When we are fighting for these injustices, true injustices, we get to a point where, yes, okay, now, yes, you can do, you have just as much right as anybody else in this country or in this place. And then now we start, because we're so used to being at the bottom, we're used to being at the top of the bottom of the food chain. You carry that oppression even into a space where we have fought so hard to get out of that. There's no more oppression, but you still carry that trauma of oppression and keep thinking that you're oppressed, when in real sense you're not oppressed. As a woman, you can start your own business. You can make your own money. You can employ other women. Like, you can do whatever you want, literally. In many cases, in fact, women have better chances of succeeding than others, than men, in a lot of cases. I've seen situations where women have gotten you know, even helping hands more than men. So it's just like, at what point does it become detrimental to us when we have now tipped the scales to the point where we are complaining about the same thing? Oh, there are no men in the society. Oh, men are this and this. And yes, I absolutely, men do have a part to play in it. And men are failing to pick themselves up and are failing to empower their fellow men. But I feel like also women are feeding into that by pushing this whole, we don't need men, we are so free, men are trash, men are this. They're not trash though. Like, I don't know what to tell you. They're not trash. Are there bad people, bad men? Yes. Are there bad women? Absolutely. So, you know, yeah.
Hi, Miss Owens.
I love that entrance. How are you? Nice to meet you. It's Audrey?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I was thinking that a lot of your claims are very contradictory, saying that we live in a matriarchy, that men benefit from feminism more. I would like to understand why, again, you think that men benefit from feminism more.
Basically, because men don't have to commit to women. Men are still able to do what they're doing, and they are allowed to basically step away from all of the responsibilities of what it really meant to be a man and lead a household. And that's in large part, I think, due to the sexual revolution.
I mean, is it really bad that we don't have to give men the chase? Don't they have gratification from chasing us? Like, it's a hunter versus prey situation to me. So I feel like a lot of relationships, especially back then, were based on trying to get to home run like very fast. And now that we have the freedom to not commit and not tie ourselves to one man for the rest of our life, I just don't necessarily think that's bad. I just don't think the revolution has decreased our value. We're not chewed gum. We're people who value connection. And sex doesn't always have to have this deep meaning. It is just connection and intimacy between.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna have to stop you right there. This is what this is, you can see the feminism effect all over her. You can hear it. This whole, it doesn't, sex doesn't have any meaning. It's, we don't have to tie ourselves to one person. This is literally the feminism propaganda that we're talking about. It's leading women to thinking that the more the as a, the more promiscuous you are, the freer you are. How does that correlate? How is me getting myself involved with different types of men, like, how is that freedom for me? If anything, again, the men are the ones benefiting. It's not helping me at all, because I'm doing all of this, and in the long run, you're getting yourself involved with all these people, probably even sexually, all in the sense of, I'm so free, I'm a woman, I'm so free, I don't need to tie myself to anybody. And then at the end of the day, this is why we hear, again, I will reiterate, this is why we hear the relationship that men and women have nowadays, where women have demonized men and men have demonized women, because women have made themselves so available. Like, you have made yourself so available to the point where the men don't feel like they need to commit. They don't feel like they need to put any effort into anything, and then in return, because of the actions of the women are like, oh, men don't do this anymore. Men don't. You are the same women that say these things all the time. You're the same women that say men are this and that, men are this and that, men don't do this, men don't do that. Why should they though? Like, I don't understand where this confusion is even coming from. And it's actually crazy that this is how far this feminism thing has gone. Like, at some point, you can even see she's not as she's trying to get her point across. She doesn't even look convinced herself. She looks like she's like, okay, yeah, we don't have to tie ourselves. Like, she looks like she knows that's just not, like.
Two people who trust each other, and why do we have to deny women that gratification? Like, men, you say, are wired to want that. Why not women? Why?
Well, we again, I go back to just our basic biological differences. There was a really interesting book that was done by a biophysicist. He, I think, recently passed away, named Edward O. Wilson, where he just sort of breaks down the biological arguments. Basically, he looks in the wild to see the behavior of animals. His thesis is just that you basically can never beat your own biology. And then he kind of compares it to what we see here as just humans and our social interactions and things that have been abundantly clear when you look at every civilization over time, whether it's from, 400 BC to LA today. What are these habits that you can see that never go away? And people coming together and starting families is one of these things, because we are biologically wired to find a family, to settle down, and to have children. And I think when you have women that are going out and they're giving all of the goods up for free.
The goods?
The goods.
The goods?
I'm not going to say, the goods up for free. Men
but what if
are
women
not,
want the goods for free from men, and that we are very happy with
certainly
those
do that, and there's
connections? We're not sockeye salmon. We're not made to breed and have families and then die.
You are welcome to do that. I'm just saying that when it comes time for you to find a partner, you may find yourself in a circumstance where men don't value you as high, because men like you spoke to, men like to compete. They like to feel like they've won something.
I'd like to deprive men of that because they don't need to have that. That's actually
But you did bring up.
Yeah, and that's what you say, that men are, essentially predatory, and we have the goods that we have to keep from them.
Oh, I didn't mean the goods in a bad way.
But that's such an objectifying way. The goods, the grocery goods.
Honestly, I think that's just kind of
we don't have value
colloquial
in that way. We have value
songs
in our
today.
soul.
I think
we have value apart from how many people we sleep with. How many you also devalue education for women, and I think
this is why I say the confusion has seeped into her blood vessels. First of all, you talk about the deflection is there. She very much understands what Candace Owens is talking about, but then she's saying, "Oh, what makes you think that women don't want to?" They don't also feel the same way about that as men. Whatever claim people make about men. And she's saying that it's more predatory when we say men want to feel like they've won something, they want to chase somebody, da 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 da. And she's saying, why can't it be that women also want to? Then which one is it? You either want to go around and give yourself up to everybody, or you want commitment. So again, realize that you're free to do so. You're free to walk around and do whatever you need to do, but don't the chain reaction of that is that ultimately you are not going to be the most desirable person to a man that is trying to settle down, commit and create a family. You're not going to be his first choice, probably not even the second or third. So it's like you can choose. That's the whole point of that's what feminism is, that you can choose whatever path you want to take, but again, stick to what that path brings. Stick to what that path brings. Don't desire this other thing and then come again to trash men and say, oh, men don't deserve that, but you deserve the exact men you get. The way you have portrayed yourself, those are the men you deserve. Those are the men you're going to get. You're not going to get any valuable man. You're going to get the men that are exactly like you. So at the end of the day, it's just like this whole thing of she's saying we have value in our soul. We have value in our soul. It doesn't matter how many people we sleep with. We have value in our soul. So you have value in your soul, but you don't have value on your body. As human beings, we're made of what? Spirit, mind, body, and soul. So you have value, so-called value in all these other things, but your body is where you draw the line. This is the body which houses all these things is where you draw the line. Is where you're like, oh no, my soul is valuable, but my body is free and doesn't make any sense.
That's very interesting because you're also a very educated woman, and in a lot of ways, this is just like an observation. You devalue yourself a lot.
I definitely do not feel like I'm devaluing myself.
Make him a sandwich?
Yeah. Yes, which is the title of my book.
Yes, feed your men and everything. Feed the people that you love, because family isn't defined just by your partner or your kids. Family is community, and you should care about your community. And understanding that, yeah, I just don't think you really care about the community that much when you're pushing this rhetoric of devaluing women so much to stay in the kitchen, stay within the homes, and also saying that they're wasting money on college when education.
Um, okay, good. How is it devalue? Like, I understand the whole, not all women want to stay in kitchens. Da, 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 da. I for sure don't want to. But I don't think it's devaluing. That's like, I don't think it's devaluing to for women who actually. I know a lot of stay-at-home women, wives, actually, that are enjoying their lives. They're enjoying their husband's money and they're living a good life. A lot more than some of us are who are struggling to pay bills. Like, that, you think that's devaluing yourself? Finding a man that loves you and takes care of you and takes care of your family, that's devaluing yourself. But going on OnlyFans naked, portraying yourself naked for millions of men to look at you and do what they do, that's empowerment. Like, you have to be the slowest person in the room to actually believe that. It's actually insane that this is even a discussion, like that this is even, like, that is looked at as empowerment, that is empowerment. There's she's the same person saying that, oh, women now get to go to school and get an education. So you got an education, there was nothing else you could do with yourself. Your parents or you spent all that money go taking yourself through college or university or whatever level of education you got to, for you to go on the social media and parade yourself for men. And then, yes, you're making money off of it, but what was the point of the education as well? It's true, you're wasting the money to go to school. If all you can do is just go on the internet and strip yourself, then why do you need to go to college for what? What's the point of empowering women to go to college if all they need to do is get naked? What's the point of getting an education if you're not going to start a business, if you're not going to use your education to get a good job and make money in a decent way? What's the point?
Education is very important. There's a lot
Okay,
of female
pause.
scientists.
Pause.
There's
You've
so
been
much
voted
more
out.
to say.
Sorry. You've been voted out.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
This is the type of faceless animated videos that helped us grow our channel 10 times in 2025. And we created this video in under 5 minutes with TuneBee AI.
This immature.
Just type your idea.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
What's your name?
I'm Zola Stone.
Very nice to meet you. So you have very pretty eyes.
Thank you. So you keep talking about OnlyFans and Kim Kardashian and well, I do OnlyFans.
Okay.
And I'm a stripper as well.
So you're in the sex industry.
Well, I'm mainly a recording artist, but I do that to fund the music.
Okay.
But, you know, you're saying basically that we kind of like devalue ourselves, but at the same time, I'm celibate. I still consider myself a woman of God. And so, you know, not all of us are just out there just, oh, hey, showing the goods, you know, like we do respect our bodies still. So I don't like that you kind of putting us all in one box.
Yeah.
Because of that.
So we have to, in order to have debates, we have to make generalizations. Of course, there can be some exceptions to the rule. But what I'm trying to understand is how can you say that you're not, you know, giving up your body if you are a stripper?
Well, because I said I'm celibate. I still want to get married. I still want to have kids. And for some of us, it's hard for us to have kids. And I've also dealt with sexual abuse since, you know, so I wasn't doing any sexual work, as you know, and still went through things like that.
Yeah.
So
Would you agree with me that if you could, like, that wouldn't
I went
have
to college for music production.
for music production?
I went to LA recording school.
Okay, so did you decide to be a stripper because of economic restraint or because of freedom?
For freedom, you know, we want the choice to do whatever we want with our bodies.
Okay.
And I think
So, am I the one that's just, do you see what I'm talking about? She says that she uses the money from the work that she does as a stripper, as on OF, to fund her music life or whatever. She made it seem like she's doing this thing because she just doesn't have the economic resources to fund her music production, or her recording, whatever it is she does. So are you doing this work because of economic restraints, because you feel like you don't have any other avenue to be able to get capital or whatever it is you need to fund whatever business or whatever work you're doing? Or are you doing it for freedom, which is an amazing question from Candice, actually. Which one is it? She said freedom. So you don't actually need the money from this sex work to fund your music. You're just doing it because feminism has lied to you that you need to take off your clothes for people to look at you and throw money at you, and that is freedom. So you have been given freedom to do anything you want in this life, and you chose to degrade yourself. It has nothing to do with economic restraint. It has nothing to do with you not having money to da 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 da. Like, they just keep proving the point. And then worst of all, you consider yourself a woman of God. Now, I don't consider myself holy in any point. Do I consider myself a Christian? Absolutely. Do I consider myself perfect? No. Am I a sinner? Absolutely. But to make that bold claim that you are a stripper, that you do all these things, and you consider yourself a woman of God, you know very well that this is not something God is co-signing. So I wonder how that even got into the picture.
That also might help in a way. I don't think it matters if you do want to dress how you want to dress. That doesn't mean, oh, you can, sexually abuse or sexually harass.
Okay,
a
do you
person
think
by
the
what
men
they're
that are
wearing.
being brought into the strip clubs to watch you are men that are walking away with what you're saying is like a feminist viewpoint, that actually me taking off my clothes empowers
It's
me?
not just men.
But I think
it's married couples. It's lesbians.
But do you think that that is actually, that's impacting society in a good way? Do you think that they're walking away and going, I did that because that woman was empowered to take off her clothes? Or do you think that they're actually devaluing women?
I get it. I used to be that hypocrite. I said things that I said I would never do anything like that. Like, I totally get that. But some people just want to go to the club and have a good time.
Yeah, I think most of the people who are making those decisions are doing it because they're dealing with addictions themselves. I think you're worth more than taking your clothes off. I think that if you wanted to have a career in music, you wouldn't have to take your clothes off to do that. And I think that it's sad that you've been.
Every story is different.
Every story is different, but I do think that we can make a generalization.
I was at that point where I was going to college. I was working 3 jobs. I used to be a nurse. So you just don't know the situations. You don't know how life is going to turn out. It's going to be ups and downs. But no, I didn't want to do it. But in my situation and things that I went through, it's something that it just.
But I'm actually really glad that you said, no, I didn't want to do it. And you were.
That's the whole point. Like, you didn't want to do it. Why didn't you want to do it? If it was such amazing work, if it was the best job you could do, why didn't you want to do it? It's the easiest industry to get in. Look at her. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. Why did you have to wait until you maybe couldn't have money for you to do it? Why don't people just go to school and learn about sex work? Because it's such an amazing industry and we are all empowered to do it. Why isn't it something that we're taking as a course in school, so that people who have a choice and they're empowered to do sex work can go into the sex work with a degree? Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, no matter how you spin it, for sure, the people that are coming to strip clubs to watch strippers are not looking at those strippers and being like, wow, look at how far women have come. This is amazing. Women are empowered. Yay. It doesn't matter whether they're men or women. It doesn't matter whether they're married couple, whether they've been married for 30 years. They're not coming out of there thinking that you are the epitome of femininity and womanhood. They're not. They are not. In fact, if anything, they're coming out of there thinking that having devalued you, having felt like your value has gone a bit lower because of what you do. And the only reason why they are able to spend money to lie to you that this whatever you're doing is great is because they themselves, like Candace says, are dealing with their own addictions. People who pay money for things like OFs, people who pay money to watch things like that, and somebody that can actually go ahead and spend their hard-earned money to pay subscriptions to see somebody naked. That is somebody dealing with addiction. That is not somebody that is trying to empower you. That's not somebody that's like, oh, let me support your business. No. That's, if they were so this is the thing you need to understand. If it was such a prideful, nice thing to do, why do you think people feel shame? People feel ashamed to even say that they are on OF, or the people that do support that, the people that do pay for that. Why is it that they hide it? Why can't it be like a Netflix subscription? Why can't it be like on your TV that we can always know you're a avid supporter of OF? Why do they hide it? Why do people treat it with such shame? Because innately you know that this is not something to be proud of. And yes, people have different circumstances. People have gone through different things in life. There are people who have gone through abuse that has led them to different paths in life. I do understand that 1,000%. And I'm not here to judge and say that they're the worst people on earth. But I'm also not gonna sit here and lie and say that, oh, that is women empowerment. It is absolutely 1,000% not. If anything, it has made women's lives harder.
Put in a situation where you had to do it, because I think that's really honest. And I think the problem that I find with feminism is that it's a dishonest movement where people pretend that they're doing
I'm not
things
saying
not
people
out of,
should be
right.
I'm not proud to do it.
Financial pressure and social pressure and things of that nature. That's a more realistic understanding of what's going on. And I think that pressure to make more money is actually coming from the fact that we've driven apart families, we've devalued women with sex, and we've devalued men in many ways, by the way, with sex being available everywhere. And we have to get back to a place when families are together so that there's less of that financial pressure and that requirement for people to do bad all by themselves. You know, like you got to figure it out by yourself. So but just being
my point was, I just didn't want the judgment, because
I'm not judging you.
I'm celibate.
I did not judge.
I still want to get married, still want to have kids.
All right, guys, pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
I'm not judging.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. I'm
Nice to meet you,
Catherine.
Catherine, Candace.
I would argue that our biology does not have as much of an effect on the things that we choose to do with our careers, with our life choices, as you think it does. Our closest ancestors are chimps and bonobos. Bonobos are matriarchal, chimps are patriarchal. So, and our previous societies have run egalitarian for millennia. It's not been this inherent desire for men to rule a certain way and women to rule another way. It has been egalitarian, it's been matriarchal, it's been patriarchal because there are things that go into effect, like your situation, your personality, that make you better at doing something than just your biology. I know many quiet, nerdy men that would not be good leaders, and I know many strong women, and vice versa. Like, it does not matter as your testosterone, the hormones you emit, is not going to have as much of an effect as I think you think it does.
I totally think it does. And so that's why, let's getting back to college, since I'm assuming you support women going to college.
Yeah.
Can you explain why there is, when they can freely choose, why there is such a difference in the majors that women choose versus the majors that men choose when they get to college?
Well, I think it's also important to note that things are changing, and there's like many initiatives to get more women into STEM, to get women into higher paying career fields. When women have been kept out of these fields for so long, it's a slow and steady race to get them there. It's not that women are not choosing them. They're slowly learning that
this is okay for them to choose. There's more women in STEM, there's more lawyers, there's more women in...
What do you mean? This is the part where I talk about the victimization of groups of people. Like, you're not oppressed. Like, as a woman, you're not oppressed. Do bad things happen to women? Absolutely. Do bad things happen to men? Yes. Ultimately, when we talk about whatever she's talking about, where she's like, she's been asked a very good question. She said biology has nothing to do with it, basically, is what she's saying. And then she's being told, actually, based on studies, women tend to choose certain majors compared to men. You know, why is that? There has to be some sort of biological connection for that. I mean, that's the most logical explanation. And then she talks about, if anything, it's gradually getting women there. It's da, 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 it's no one is stopping any woman from getting into STEM. She's talking about, women are just starting to understand that they can be allowed. For the longest, they have been stopped from. Who has stopped you? Who has? No one is stopping you. If you really wanted to become a mechanical engineer, you can become a mechanical engineer. No one is stopping this. A whole idea of women are oppressed and you can't. It's just now that women are learning that they can get into STEM. Women have been free for the longest. If you really wanted to get into STEM, you would have. So nobody is stopping you from doing anything.
Women are making strides to those positions, so it's not like they're sedentary and they're staying in these humanities or arts fields.
I don't think you're being honest. I think like, did you go to college?
I mean, I'm in college. I think I know that
women aren't. It's not because they're not pressured. It's because when quite literally they say, "What are you interested in?" Women flock to certain things. They just do. We do. We as a whole do. It tends to be, and this is because we are biologically wired. And even when a child is born, when a woman, like a female, a child versus a male child, the girls start speaking faster and they speak more words. Just a fact, right? For the rest of their lives. Like, my daughter started speaking, and this is not anecdotal, but I'm giving you an anecdotal example of something that is a real fact. So there's just a biological proclivity there that women like communication. And you see that followed all the way, as an example, into college. Women are drawn toward these careers that are compassionate, emotional, and communicative, which is why you'll see women flooding journalism. That's why even when you see women that are finding success, they are typically in careers that are communicative and compassionate. Women that will say, I want to do psychology, I want to do children's psychology. And so even at the same time that women are saying that they're running away from their biology, so to speak, they are still exhibiting that they very much believe in these determined biological characteristics that I think are something that's just never going to go away.
Right, but I would also bring up that the way that young girls are given dolls, young boys are put in sports. These things that kids learn at a very early age are very impactful in what children like and pursue in the future. It's not simply that. I don't think there's a biological gene that women like fashion and men don't. That's why we do see men in fashion. That's why there's actually, at the top of all these fashion houses, a lot of men are in successful positions in fashion. The way in which you teach children to explore creativity and to play, and what we put women in, we put women in pink rooms and little girls in pink rooms and boys in blue rooms. That has an effect.
So, and I'll tell you why I disagree. And I know, because I had my children back to back, that there's a blur here. So I never had to separate them and say, you play with this, you play with that. They were growing up with their toys. I mean, 1 year apart, my daughter and my son. They just are interested in different things. And this is one of the, I think, lies of feminism. And when you actually have children, there may be some exceptional child.
I see what point she's trying to make, but for me, I feel like even me growing up, the way I would rebuttal that point is, I just grew up with a sister, so we didn't have any boys in my family. I wasn't given dolls. I just wanted dolls. Like, my mom didn't buy dolls and shove them down my throat like, you're a girl, you need to play with dolls. No. Anytime we would walk, and the first toy I ever was interested in was a doll. The things that I was interested in is in makeup and all that. And I know there are people who are gonna be like, oh well, there's some girls who are not interested in that thing and that. That's fine. That's what we called outliers. That's what we called. Just because you're an exception to the rule doesn't make it, the majority. You can be an exception to the rule, but in real sense, and I'm gonna speak especially for like where I come from, we don't grow up like it's not a lot of people that grow up with like a bedroom that has you go up in a separate bedroom as a girl with your pink bedroom, and then your brother grows up in their blue bedroom. Like, I come from Africa, I come from Kenya, I come from a country where a lot of us, and I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us growing up, some of us, even some of my relatives, like, we had to share bedrooms with our brothers. Like, sisters would share bedrooms with their brothers. There was no blue, pink, they were just clothes for people to wear. If anything, that would be the best case study, because then that it shows that a lot of us African kids did not grow up in that lifestyle of, oh, you're a girl, you get your own room with pink Barbie dolls, da, da, da. No. And yet we still grew up to desire the same things, to desire what women desire, and for men to desire what men desire. Like, we didn't grow up like Americans, like American children, with your Spider-Man room and the girl has her pink Barbie room. No. Yet somehow, even in growing up in that environment that didn't have a much distinction, where because of economic resources and because of economic issues in most cases, siblings had to grow up in the same bedroom. There was no pink, blue, whatever. In some cases, some children you would even find sharing clothes with their brothers, especially at a young age. And yet somehow, when toys were bought, the girl gravitated towards the dolls, the boy gravitated towards the ball or the car or whatever. Again, you could argue that there could be children of both genders that didn't gravitate towards that, and that's what I meant, that's what I say, that's what I call the exception to the rule. That doesn't make it the rule. So, generally speaking, biology does have something to play with it. Something to play, like it plays a role. Like, it's just natural. I don't know how to, it's, again.
But I am telling you, my boy's first word was car. He's obsessed with trucks. He's obsessed with cars. I did not do that. I don't like having to answer his questions about cars. I don't like having to answer his questions about trucks because my biological proclivities are not designed. I'm just not feeling passionate about engineering, wanting to know how everything works. You don't recognize that, and this is, I think, one of the worst harms of feminism, because I was a feminist when I was in college, or I at least thought I agreed with the movement, because you don't have the family yet. So when they make these arguments that you're making, you think that that's real. You think, oh, well, it's just because you're not giving the child the Barbie doll, that they don't love Barbie dolls, and that's not a reality. We are just quite literally different.
There are many.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
How do I look?
Looks fine.
I bought it for.
Well, that is done. Well, guys, yeah, I think I've given all my my 2 cents on that topic. Um, Feminism I don't even know what it is anymore. Like, I think it has gone through many phases and spectrums. I feel like it did what it needed to do in the beginning, was because, yes, in the beginning, I do agree there was a lot of abuse, and people, just like human beings, when men had all the power, they took advantage of it, and there was some form of oppression to some women that led to the movement of women being like, hey, 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 we need to at least have to be able to stand on our 2 feet, which I feel we succeeded and got that a long time ago. Whatever the freedom that I see women enjoying nowadays, I don't know any single woman that is oppressed. I don't know. It doesn't exist around me. I don't see it. Every woman that I know is very much empowered to do whatever they want. So, however you choose to go about your empowerment, and however you choose to justify your decisions and how you live your life, and then blame it on feminism, or blame it on, oh, it's freedom. Women have been oppressed so much, so now we should be allowed to walk down the street naked. Now we should be allowed to monetize and dehumanize ourselves and devalue ourselves. And no, it's freedom because women are making money off of it. Are you, you know, institutionally, like as a group, as women, how is it benefiting us? I don't know, food for thought. But anyway, guys, this was a great video. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like for me to react to. Other than that, see you in the next one. Peace out.